I am Valerie Meros. I am a social worker. So I going into Loyola, I knew that I wanted to do social work, but I didn't at that time really know what that meant. So that's why I wanted to do sociology to kind of get a broader view of social development and all of that. So I took, I think all of the social work classes that they had at that time, and I think now they're not as plentiful, but so I took those. I did a lot of the like crime and criminal classes. There's like women in deviance that I took, and those other ones. I did a globalization and society. So I was kind of all over the board in terms of what I wanted to do with social work at that time. I kind of knew that I did want to go to grad school, but not sure where I wanted to go, what that was going to look like. So after I graduated, I did take a year off of schooling. I did some internships at hospital housing, at living classrooms in Baltimore with their Baltimore Urban Gardening with Students after school program. I was at like a foster care facility for a bit. And then I decided to go to grad school. So I was still unsure about really what I wanted to do at that time in terms of grad school. So I ended up going to University of Denver in Colorado. I went there because they have an animal assisted social work program certification there. So having animals with you during your therapy sessions. And that can look a lot of different ways, but like they have like equine therapy, which sure people have heard about, having dogs. Some of them had guinea pigs. I mean, really any animal you can think of, you can have in your therapy sessions. So that's really why I wanted to go there, because I just found that really fascinating. So I ended up getting that certification while I was there. But also while I was there, I had an internship in China. So I was in Chengdu for about 6 weeks, and I was interning at the research base of giant panda breeding in Chengdu. So we did a lot of stuff around One Health, which is the connection of humans, animals, and the environment, and how all of their health kind of impacts each other. So then I got interested in like environmental stuff and animal rights, but still really kind of staying on the path of social work and really supporting people in that sense. But then when I graduated, I ended up doing child welfare. So I was in child welfare for a while in the permanency program, which basically was after a family was coming in for an intake, they needed extra support, then I would support them for really kind of indefinitely. So I was testifying in court cases, working with bio parents, foster parents, adoptive parents, any resources that the kids needed. So doing just a lot of like family work and support of both kids and parents. And then I moved back to Baltimore. I am from Baltimore, but I moved back to Baltimore at that point, got a job at Kennedy Krieger, which is, as I'm sure some of you guys have heard about, it's a hospital / research facility, school. They have a bunch of different programs that work specifically with kids with neurodevelopmental disorders. So I got a job at their K-8 school as a mental health case manager. So working with students, most of my caseload had kids with autism, but we had kids with just some like severe behavioral disorders, a lot of trauma, things like that. So supporting both them in the classroom, doing consultation with classroom staff and teachers, as well as talking to parents and getting support for those students, both in the school setting as well as in their community at home. In June, I transitioned in Kennedy, and I am now working at one of their new preschool programs. It's an integrated preschool, so kids that are both typically developing and have some sort of disability in the preschool setting, all in the classroom together. We have 3 classrooms right now. We also have some kids that are medically complex, so GI tubes, TBI, traumatic brain injuries, just a variety of other health impairments. So supporting, them and the family, and also, bringing in that mental health lens for the teaching staff. I am leaving that job in a month and going to Johns Hopkins Bayview campus, doing I'm going to be in their inpatient medicine unit. So just supporting individuals trying to discharge from the hospital and getting them the services they need. And that could be anything from, helping them get into a psych unit if that's why they came into the emergency room, or helping them get into a nursing home or rehab or things like that. I am still kind of on the path of One Health and that connection of the human, animal, and environment. And I'm taking a class to be certified in humane education through the University of Denver online. So I really just like that framework. And I think it's just I didn't know about it when I was in undergrad, and just being at University of Denver and now in my career, just seeing how someone's environment can really impact their life and their health and all of that has just been really fascinating to me. I did also get my master's in public administration, so more like policy stuff, more big government, nonprofits, things like that. I haven't done much with that, but I did that all online at University of Baltimore. And that is it.
Oh, thank you.
I have a question for Valerie, because I'm also looking at getting my MSW. And it's kind of a two-part question. So my first question is, what advice would you have for anyone just coming out of undergrad and thinking about getting their MSW? And then my second question is, I've done a lot of research about like different things that I've wanted to do, and I think I want to focus on like children and the family, and I know that that can be like mentally hard to do sometimes. So what methods, or like how did you have that separation between work but then also caring for your mental health as well?
Yeah, so great questions. So I think my advice would be definitely looking at the grad school you want to go to, because I learned about a lot by just going to the grad school I chose, because they had the specialties and concentrations that I was interested in. So I would just definitely do some research in terms of what grad programs you're interested in, which ones kind of really focus on child and family. I know that Denver used to have that. Some kind of split it up more so like clinical versus macro. Some have more specific concentration. So I would definitely just, get into the grad school that you like, but also that kind of has those things that you're wanting to learn about while you're there. In terms of separating work from self and taking care of yourself, it's hard. It's really hard. Working in child welfare for as long as I did, it was difficult to go home and really not know if the kids were safe. Like, you did the best you could at the end of the day, but not really knowing that could be hard. I think you need to just have, your people that I think it's helpful to have the people that kind of do that same work, because people don't really know what that's like if they're not in a similar field. So kind of finding your people is helpful. But then also just knowing that like you did the best that you could on that day. And just, and eventually you learn how to separate it, because I've been doing it for a while now. But you learn how to make those separations. But yeah, finding your people to vent, laugh about the wild things you've seen, like that, you got to just laugh to make it all worthwhile.
I did have one question I wanted to ask. What do you find, all four of you find, to be the most challenging aspect of your work? And also tied to that, are any of you thinking like, what is the next step? Are you thinking, this is where I am, I found my spot? Or do you see yourself maybe moving beyond where you are to a different space? Alice, do you want to go ahead and answer, since you're already up on our screen? Allison?
If anyone else wants to, feel free to unmute and jump in and interrupt me here, but gosh, oh, Valerie, you want to jump in, please?
I can jump in. Yeah, I was just thinking. I think for me, the hardest part of my job is the like the leadership people and the policies that come down and impact the work that I do as a social worker. It can be difficult to follow some of these policies that people that aren't even doing the work are putting into place. So that can be hard for me, just in general. And then what was the other question? Oh, where I see myself. Well, since I'm getting a new job in a month, hopefully I'll be there for a while. But I do want to get more into like a leadership role, supervisory role, stuff like that. So I did just get licensed to be like a social work supervisor, but I do want to get more into that. Hopefully I'll stay kind of in this medical field for a bit since I did a lot of the child family work for a while and shifting into this. So
My question is for Valerie again. I know that I was thinking, I can't remember exactly what, like field of social work you were in. I know you mentioned about like the animal assistance, but how easy is it? Because I know that you have to have like some sort of focus. How easy is it like post grad school to kind of shift gears, like what you're doing with like family and child and then shifting to now like medicine? How easy of a change is that? I guess like based on your degree, are they gonna like look at you and wave their finger and be like, no, you can't, you need to get like other certifications first, or like what is that process like?
yeah, I think it's fairly easy because there is kind of like that like I most of my work I've done has been heavily on the case management side versus like one-to-one therapy and that kind of clinical aspect. So because I had all this case management experience, I was able to shift from working with children and family into the medicine social work as a case manager. So that kind of made it easier in that sense. They're not going to look at like your degree and concentration and say, this is you did medicine, you can't do child and family. They definitely do look at your internships that you take in that experience. They do take that into account when you're finding jobs in the beginning. But I think just kind of getting those foundational skills, those clinical skills, case management skills, kind of however, your whatever you're most passionate about, they can definitely translate. And then, when you're writing your resume, writing how those translate into the role that you're most interested in, I think is helpful. And if you do want to chat more, you can get my contact information. That's totally fine. You can email me if you have more questions.